Hello everybody, I'm Marc Battle, and this is the point for class 2. We talked about in the first point about the importance of family and how it's all diverse now and how it's a little bit different. Today we're talking about stresses, but most importantly we're talking about support. And I want you to sort of think about this when you're going through the slides and when you're pondering some of the resources. Think about who are the people in your family or extended family or outside the family that provided your family with support. I'm blessed. I came from a family that had a lot of connections. I had a lot of people in my life that helped support my family so that they could do the best that they could do. And I have that today with my own family. I have extended family, I have friends who have supported me to be a better father, a better parent, a better husband. So today really is about support, and I want you to think about how are you supporting families, because there's a lot of stresses out there for the families, but there's a lot of support that we can provide. And I say in the PowerPoint slides that you got to be unconventional. You have to sort of think outside the box as it relates to each individual family. So for example, I was working at a daycare center and I started to notice that a lot of the families were using laundry services, like laundromats. That costs a lot of money. And some people have to be put into the situation where, can I afford food and rent and laundry? So what I did at that daycare center is I opened up the laundry services in the daycare. You couldn't do the laundry during the big peak times, which is just before lunchtime and just before closing, because we're doing all the sort of the baby wipes and all that other stuff. But in between those other periods of time, you can bring in your laundry, you can utilize their services, hang out with us, because there's a lot of downtime when you're doing laundry. And then at the end of the day, they pick up their kids, they have bushels of clean laundry, and off they go home. I think that kind of support is essential, but it made sense for the group that I was working for. So what makes sense for the group that you're working for, and how can you support them? Maybe even more important is thinking about how do you find out what people need as support. And that all comes down to your communication. That all comes down to your relationships that you have with families. That support is essential because if we can support the family, we support the child, which is what we're in the business of. And as I mentioned in those PowerPoint slides, you can do all the stuff for the kid. You can do all the great emergent stuff, all the great inclusion stuff. That's fantastic. But if their family's not getting support, then all the work you're doing for that child is for naught. So I use the analogy in the PowerPoints that think of that kid as a little seed. And we're going to take care of that little seed and we're going to make sure it's nice and safe and healthy. But we have to make sure that that seed is planted in fertile ground, or else you ain't going to have a plant. So this class is all about how do we create that fertile ground? How do we create that support that families need in order for them to be successful? And that, my friends, is the point.